Before we get into the numbers, here's why this matters. In 5 years, the job loss projections for 2030 just jumped from 2.5 million to 8.9 million, driven by AI and automation. These aren't just jobs. These are families losing homes, missing meals, and falling behind while inflation climbs. Your job, your lifestyle, and your future are on the line. This isn't fear, it's a wake-up call. No job is safe, not even yours.
I want to welcome you all back to the Eye of the Storm, and I want to get into the numbers for the monthly job loss for the month of April. We'll be going over the numbers for March. Now, every month, I'm going to be continuously giving you the job loss numbers. Why? Somebody sent me a message and asked me that. They said, why do you continuously want to go over these numbers? I said, you know why? Because I'm reading it anyway. These are the things I do. I love the reading. I love numbers. And I think the more information that we can have on the direction of the country and the jobs, the more that it will help you make a decision on how to respond, react, and the information you need to be sharing with your close families and friends. That's exactly what I do with this information. So with that being said, I'm going to start off by giving some updates for our numbers for the month of February. Now, as you can see that ticker on the screen, that was the job number loss we had for February, but that number dramatically changed. I'm going to be looking down as usual because I have my notes, right? Want to make sure I have these notes. And as of February, we had over 100,000 jobs. But here are some updates that came in for February. The new numbers for February are now in. And across the country, it's been announced that 172,017 job cuts have officially happened for the month of February. So that number changed dramatically. And some of that change was due to Doge. Yes, Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency. There was a layoff before that was about 20,000 jobs. Now that number has went up to 63,583. So that number has added to that new increase. And also, there was some increase in the tech department. Microchip technology laid off 2,000 people. In the industrial side, company Simmons laid off 5,600 people. In the retail side, the sneaker company and clothing company Puma laid off 500 jobs. And in the finance department, JP Morgan laid off 1,000 people, which gives our grand total from January to February, that new number at the bottom, 172,017 people laid off so far. So let's get into the new numbers for March. We're currently in April and we're going to give the March numbers. So now with this projection of 8.9 million jobs being gone by the year 2030, and yes, that's a real projection. That number once, before this administration got in there, that number was roughly 2.5 million jobs expected to be lost due to technology, due to a bunch of different things. But now with the new administration in there, that number has increased to 8.9 million jobs by the year of 2030. Isn't that something, man? So let's go over these numbers so far for March. March numbers jumped dramatically based on the company's reporting of jobs lost. So let's talk about the finance department. In finance, we had Morgan Stanley with 2,000 layoffs. In the tech department, we had Volkswagen, 1,600 jobs lay off. Hewlett Packard, 2,500 jobs lay off. Block, the company Square, that little white device that you put in your phone and you swiping, and Square is a whole payment system. They laid off 931 people. Automatic, which is WordPress, a part of Microsoft, 280 layoffs. Canva, which is the graphics and things we use to make content. I know I use that, me and my team. They had 12 layoffs. In the industrial and agricultural side, Archer Daniels Midland, they are laying off a number in their workforce. That number wasn't provided just yet, but we have it for next month. So let's talk about the transportation sector. Southwest Airline. Southwest Airline is laying off 1,750 people. That's 15% of the corporate workforce. Stellantis is laying off 900 people. So now I've been waiting to give these numbers right here because this is a separate dilemma within itself. The Doge, Elon Musk department that he's running, The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, they did major cuts in the federal government. I'm going to give the areas where they cut. The Department of Defense, they did an 8% cut of 61,000 jobs. The Department of Health and Human Services, they got rid of 5,200 jobs. The IRS, they got rid of 7,000 jobs. The Department of Energy, they got rid of 2,000 jobs. The Department of Veteran Affairs, they got rid of 1,000 workers. So now let's give a total breakdown of February and March and give our grand total for the start of April. February, U.S.-based employment announced 172,017 jobs. That's that number on the ticker there. That was an increase of 245% from January. January to February, we had an increase. Now, the new administration came in February, and there was a major jump by 245% of layoffs, mostly by DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk. So now let's talk about March. March layoffs increased by 60%. The grand total for March is 275,240 jobs for March 2025. That's the highest mark of layoffs ever since May of 2020. So let's give the grand total. Our grand total number of jobs layoffs for the year so far is a staggering 447,257 jobs so far. Let's give some more context to what's been going on. I'm going to give you some of the tariffs went into place. Ronald Reagan did tariffs. He went on to make a video that's on YouTube where he regret doing it and talked about how it hurt the nation. There's another video circulating around about Nancy Pelosi talking in the 90s, how tariffs was needed. But tariffs was different in the 90s. You can create tariffs and not have an impact on job loss because there wasn't technology. Tariffs, back then, you still needed people working the assembly line. You still needed cashiers. You still needed registers. Now with the tariffs, you're helping promote the companies to get rid of people, which is exactly what's taking place. So tariff impacts. Stellantis layoffs, those were impacted by tariff. The manufacturing sector, they're reporting that there's going to be a significant rise in layoffs due to the tariffs with Canada, Mexico, and China. Due to the steel, aluminum, car distribution will be on the decline. We know that there's a tariff on the car companies. So that's going to impact the cost of new cars. You guys may want to consider thinking about people are not going to want to buy new cars. They're going to be thinking about buying used cars. And the leading used car company is Carvana. That stock is looking very interesting. It's just my opinion. This is no financial advice. People will be considering buying used cars, and that's pretty big in their wheelhouse. Farming and machinery is also going to be impacted due to these tariffs. I want you guys to think about something. This situation with your job layoffs, I want you to look at that ticker number there. This isn't just about numbers on a job. This is people. This is jobs. This is money. This is people not being able to pay rent, pay their mortgages, which will lead to an increase of homelessness. This will lead to an increase of children going through mental stress, being displaced, not being able to be the greatest they can be, not being able to go to school, not being able to have the opportunities they have. My generation for years, and my generation before me, the baby boomers, we were able to get mortgages and loans to buy houses, to start businesses. This debt is now being handed down to this generation and the next generation after them. What do you think this country and the development of our people, I'm going to speak to my culture specifically, is going to impact us? We are the biggest provider of entertainment for everything. TV, music, sports, you name it, we provide the entertainment. If you were to take us out of sports, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, you take us out of any industry, music, what will be there? We're the biggest provider of entertainment, but we're the least that owns that commodity. That has to be one of the biggest downfalls for us. We were never promoted the ownership, and that's not our fault. But now we're looking at this new administration who's made up their mind. They don't want anything to do with an inclusive society, with people being able to have the pollination, as lack of a better word, of cultures. So they're making it clear. I want you guys to look up these numbers here. What is the highest paid cultures in the United States? You have Asians, then you have whites. But the biggest representation of the office, the White House, the Congress, the Senate, the House, politically, is specifically white male men. And this is nothing against my white followers. So you fall under the umbrella of being the minority based on salary. But these people at this higher level making this amount of money are going, we control and we can make all these decisions, pass these laws, but we're not a dominant force. They want to still hold on to the past. So the way to get rid of this is by literally getting rid of the thoughts of inclusion with race, with school, with the idea of promoting a healthy culture to make someone proud about their culture, to be able to go out there and do things and be positive. No, that's not what they want. That's not what they want, and it's showing. We literally have to look at what's going on right now around us and say we are at a pivotal time in life where decisions need to be made, where you need to talk to your family, your children, and give them guidance and information. You need to start creating something for them because there's going to be nothing left for them. And they are literally going to win. Not trying. I was going to say trying. Going to win this fight. And they're going to take hold of the power. See, the power doesn't lie in the money anymore. It lies in the judges, the votes, the White House, which they control. What are we going to do? I mean, all races and colors that are low on the income totem pole. We can't be at each other's throat, which they want us to be. They want us to be at each other's throat, so we don't focus on them and what they're doing. So with those jobs that I reported to you guys, loss, I look forward to you tuning into the next job loss. We are almost at 500,000 jobs, and we're just hitting April. We're on track, definitely, to have 8.9 million jobs gone by the year 2030. How is that going to impact your neighborhood, your community, your safety? See you guys on the next episode. And never forget to always seek knowledge. Peace.